Imagine receiving the first ever Bitcoin transaction from an anonymous figure known only as Satoshi Nakamoto. You help refine the Bitcoin code, you run the first full node, and you have no idea yet, but you're about to become one of the biggest legends in Bitcoin history. But while Bitcoin is still relatively unknown, your body, unfortunately, starts to deteriorate, trapping you in a battle against a disease with no cure. This is the story of Hal Finney, the first known Bitcoin user after Satoshi himself, a cypherpunk, a cryptographic pioneer, and possibly the real Satoshi Nakamoto. Hal worked on Bitcoin almost before anyone else, and he helped lay the foundations for digital privacy. He even froze his body in the hopes that he might see the future one day. But did Hal Finney actually create Bitcoin? And if not, how did he become the first person ever to receive BTC from Satoshi? How did they start working together? And how did all this come to be? Let's rewind. Hal Finney wasn't just an early Bitcoin adopter. He was one of the OG cypherpunks, a group of radical cryptographers in the 90s who believed in privacy, digital freedom, and the fight against surveillance. The cypherpunks actually used to debate a lot back in the days about what a digital currency possessing these properties might actually look like. But before Bitcoin, Finney worked on something called PGP, Pretty Good Privacy, which is a program that was used for encrypting emails. If you ever heard someone say, use PGP when sending sensitive information, that's partially thanks to Hal Finney. He was also obsessed with, you guessed it, digital cash. Years before Bitcoin was a thing, Finney helped develop anonymous digital money systems. And he was also a huge supporter of Nick Szabo's BitGold, the precursor to Bitcoin. So when Satoshi suddenly posted the Bitcoin white paper in 2008, Finney was one of the first people to see it and respond. And guess what? He started mining BTC immediately. And back then, you didn't need complicated hardware or any of that fancy shit. You could just mine BTC using your laptop. You know, the good old days. January 2009 marked Bitcoin's first transaction, and Hal Finney would become the first person ever to receive a Bitcoin transaction, and that was from Satoshi himself. Satoshi sent him 10 BTC. Damn, 10 BTC is a lot these days, but this is where things start to get suspicious. So Hal lived in the same town as a man named Dorian Nakamoto. You might recognize him. Here's a photo. This is the guy Newsweek falsely accused of being Bitcoin's creator. Now, is this a pure coincidence or an elaborate cover-up? Then there's the style of Satoshi's messages. Many folks noticed that Satoshi's emails and forum posts actually match Hal Finney's writing style almost perfectly. Still not convinced? Well, in 2013, a team ran an AI-driven linguistic analysis on Satoshi's writing. And guess what? Hal Finney was one of the closest matches to Satoshi. So was he Satoshi or not? Finney himself always denied it. He'd keep claiming that he was just an early adopter and that all these coincidences, all of them, were just coincidence, right? And he was a mere peon, that is the puzzle of Bitcoin. Regardless of whether he was Satoshi, I think he was. His contributions to Bitcoin were massive and undeniable. Of all the people suspected of being Satoshi Nakamoto, I do believe that Hal Finney is the strongest candidate. Why? Let me count the ways. He was one of the first people to ever use Bitcoin. He literally received the first transaction ever. His coding skills were legendary. He worked on cryptographic projects that predated Bitcoin, all the knowledge that he required to build it. His writing style, as mentioned, matches Satoshi's. He was a cypherpunk, which means he believed in everything Bitcoin stood for: privacy, decentralization, and censorship resistance. He not only lived in the same town as Dorian Nakamoto, Temple City in California, their homes were literally just a few blocks apart from each other. Oh, and Dorian's full name? It's Dorian Prentice Satoshi Nakamoto. Just a coincidence? I don't know. What do you think? Lastly, Dorian had his home foreclosed by banks. So might Hal have thought of him as maybe a symbolic figure for Bitcoin? If you're not convinced yet, I don't know what to tell you. But if you are convinced, let me play devil's advocate and share with you all the reasons why he might not be Satoshi. Despite all the reasons Hal might have been Satoshi, there is one major reason why he might not have been. His health. By the time Satoshi disappeared in late 2010, Hal was already battling ALS, a degenerative disease that affects movement and speech. As his condition worsened, he lost the ability to code, type, and even move. He also openly denied being Satoshi time and again. He kind of had nothing to gain from denying it. So if he were Satoshi, would he have taken credit before he passed? Maybe. I don't know. But would he not have moved at least some of the Satoshi's untouched Bitcoin? Again, maybe. But then again, it hasn't moved since. So there is that. Ultimately, we'll never know with 100% certainty. But if Hal wasn't Satoshi, then who the hell was? I can't think of anyone else closer than Hal, and I've looked at all of them. Maybe it's Craig Wright. No, definitely not Craig Wright. Fuck that dude. Anyway, so while Bitcoin was growing, Hal was fighting a different battle altogether. In 2009, once he was diagnosed with ALS, he began to slowly become paralyzed. By 2013, he had lost nearly all movement, and he was able to communicate only with his eyes, only using eye tracking software. Crazy. But even then, he never stopped working on Bitcoin, which goes to show you just how dedicated he was and what a legend he was. He continued to write and tweet about Bitcoin, and he even helped develop some of the earliest cold storage methods to secure your BTC. One of his last tweets before he passed in 2014 was running Bitcoin. Hal passed that same year in 2014. But instead of being buried, he chose to have his body cryogenically frozen. His body is currently preserved at Alcor Life Extension Foundation, a company that stores bodies in liquid nitrogen at negative 196 degrees Celsius, with the hopes that one day science will advance enough to revive them. I, for one, would love to see Hal come back to life. Maybe he'll reveal the mystery of whether he was actually Satoshi. So yeah, while his physical body is gone, his legacy does live on in every Bitcoin transaction. All right, if you're into crypto stories and deep dives like this one, hit like and subscribe to the channel. And in the meantime, check out the episode on Michael Saylor, because while Hal helped start Bitcoin, Saylor is out there promoting Bitcoin and trying to get it on every corporate balance sheet. I'm your host, Valery Yoshi, and I'll catch you in the next one. You've been watching DGen Reports. Ciao.